next episode of the HR Insider. My name is Alisha Allen Gardner, and I am the CEO and co-owner of Easy Time Clock.
I'm Beth.
And I'm Alicia. On tonight's episode of the HR Insider, we will be talking about the very controversial topic, net neutrality, which I'm not even sure exactly what that means, but that's why we have our special guests tonight to tell us why it could affect my business or your business or somebody else's business, and why it should be our business to know what's going on with the government and the internet and any regulating that could or could not be happening. So tonight, our two guests, we have Chris and we have Lawrence. So Chris, if you'll start us off and tell us a little bit about you, what you do.
Chris Mraz. I am the president of Your IT, and we primarily help accountants with IT management and cybersecurity.
I do what Chris does. I just do it for different industries, and I like to think I do it better. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
What we do primarily is I become a company's CIO for contract. So we'll provide help desk support, hey, I can't print, can you help me with that? But I'll also sit down with the board of directors and say, okay, what's the direction? Where do we want to go this year?
Well, Beth, do you want to start us off tonight with the big question?
Yes, the word. Lawrence and I were talking before the show about where did the word even come from. Can you kind of explain the origin of net neutrality?
Sure. Take this one.
I don't remember the professor's name, but I think it was in 2003, there was a professor who kind of coined the term as this whole debate started coming up about regulations and control and utilities and this whole conversation, and he kind of coined the phrase. At its simplest, it just kind of refers to treating all internet traffic the same regardless of where it originates or where it ends or what the data is. That's kind of the way that I see it as the simplest. I'm not sure.
It is. Net neutrality is very much a catchphrase. It was a way to take a complex issue and simplify it. But it really does come down to what's called a utility. And that kind of is the root of it. Should the internet be treated and classified as a utility like the phone company? The phone company must provide phone service to people that have the money, right? And get on it. And that's it. That's all they can do. And so should the internet be governed in the same way? And that ultimately is what the battle since 2003, since 1996, has been about, is do the people that provide internet have a right to show preferential treatment for one website or one service over another, or should the government be able to say, we're going to treat you like a utility, and because that's what Title II means, people may have seen that, and that means you have to be it's a mouthful, packet agnostic data transmission. So it doesn't matter what goes through it. I know, right?
Agnostic, what?
It doesn't matter what goes through it, it all has to be treated the same.
So when you say utility, I'm thinking my electric bill, my gas bill, and the government, our city regulates that. Is that basically treating the internet as one of those utilities, or the information on the internet?
The information on the internet, it doesn't have anything to do with net neutrality in a lot of ways. The very basic legalistic standpoint, the law is that irrespective of what's going across the internet, the people that own the backbones, Cox, Comcast, Level 3, all these other companies that some of us have never even heard of, have to treat everything the same, and they can't be preferential.
And that's how it is presently.
That's how it mostly was up until
the whole conflict of net neutrality.
Right, up until this most recent vote to remove that protection and reclassify it where it's no longer classified in the same area as a utility. Now there's not as much regulation or control over it that the government has its hands on.
And Chris actually brought up an excellent point with Cox and with Netflix. I have the Contour package at home because I hate commercials. And so I was flipping through the on-demand. This was
You still get commercials.
Well, not that, although yes. About 3 weeks ago, I saw Netflix. I was still on my cable box. This may not be news to anybody out there, but it was to me. I can watch Netflix, log into my account, on my cable box. So me
You
being
still
me,
pay for it?
well, I pay, whatever I pay for my Netflix because I'm logged in.
Right.
I called Cox. Hey, so does this, since you guys introduced caps for residential use, does this count against my cap? Because I'm streaming it over the internet. There was like not an answer.
I'm sorry,
question.
there are caps for residential use of Netflix?
Of Cox Cable. So Cox Cable sent a letter out, I guess, October,
months, yeah.
a couple of months ago saying, hey, you're one of the top users of internet. So we're gonna give you this much internet a month. After that, we're gonna start charging you overage fees. Or
Whoa, I missed
On
that
top
bill.
of your monthly?
on top of your monthly, or you can just pay more
Wow.
and then have unlimited again. So we're gonna charge you more for what we were already giving you.
My monthly.
It's quite a
cap.
bit. It's unlikely that the average person, or even the above average person, will meet it. It's really for the people who watch a lot of high quality videos or do a lot. It's the tech guys that are going to be hit real hard. But it's a large amount that's not going to affect the majority of people. But it's still there. It's something they've
Yep.
introduced.
So
And
when I'm
the
on my
Netflix-
Wi-Fi on my phone,
Mhm.
is that all against my cap?
Yes,
Cox?
it's all against your cap from Cox. Now, interestingly enough, Netflix on the Contour device doesn't count against your data cap because it's something that Cox is providing. So that very thing that we talked about.
Okay, so before net neutrality became deregulated, unregulated, what's the word? What's the term? Unregulated? Deregulated?
Deregulated.
They
Deregulated.
changed it from Title II to Title I. We don't even have to get into what that is. They made a change.
Okay.
One of the things to keep in mind is that for me, and this becomes a little political, I think one of the reasons why the current FCC chairman and the administration took this away is because there was an urgency to undo a number of the things that the previous administration had done that was seen as being heavy-handed. Because this whole new net neutrality thing that's being taken from the American people, and I say that with a little bit of jaundiced opinion, because it's only been in existence for 2 years.
Yeah, and that's kind of going back to when Loris was talking about the umbrella and lots of little pieces underneath that. You kind of have digital freedoms and being able to say what you want online and not be censored online or not be prevented to get to an opposing view online. Then you have the piece of kind of transmission and how the actual internet is used, and that's was the most vocal part of where you heard this argument and where all the big money came from and made the noise of AT&T and Comcast and them saying, no, we need to change this because it's not good for Americans. And you had Google and Facebook saying, no, we want to keep this because it allows these freedoms to remain. But in my opinion, a lot of it just comes down to, well, it's a business decision that the cable companies and the internet providers are trying to make of Netflix is using 50% of my resources, and under this Title II, I can't charge them anymore to use those additional resources. Whereas if I had a client who used 50% of my resources, they would pay a higher rate than someone who called me 2 times a year. So that's kind of the business aspect of it. If they're saying they want to charge more for Google or for Netflix or for Hulu to use their transmission lines that they've built and that they have to maintain and they have to continue to invest in so they're fast enough so we don't call and complain that our internet speeds are slow.
So charging, they want to, right now the conversation is to charge Google and to charge Netflix?
Yeah, so Netflix has agreements with Verizon and I can't remember what other cable company, but they pay these internet companies a fee, whatever that may be, so that they don't have their speeds slow down. And so there already are those deals in place where Netflix is paying. They call it an extra tax to Verizon to be able to get that speed they need for customers.
So when does it affect the customer?
Well,
So
I think
It already
even
did.
before that is
With the data caps at Cox Communications.
Well, and Netflix raised their prices not too long ago.
So is that what we're seeing?
I mean, if they have to pay more, it always gets passed down
Yeah.
to the consumer. So
And I think
it
that
makes
will be-
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, please.
I think that it will be passed on to the consumer and already has with Cox
Sure.
raising their rates. In fact, all of the major cable companies have said we're raising our rates in 2018. People tried to tie that to, well, it's because the net neutrality thing's over. No, they raised their rates last year too.
Yeah, they just do.
They just do, and that's just part of business.
So to kind of wrap us up a little bit, we've gone over a lot of different directions and how this could go. If there is one thing that we should take away as business owners who work in the IT field, who work in the internet world, specifically, I'm software as a service. You guys are kind of software as a service-ish, or your businesses that you service are software as a service. So for us, we need to be aware of what this happens, because somewhere my costs are going to go up. Whether it's at the server level, whether at the hosting level, on some level, I'm going to get charged for this.
Well, I will say we don't want to freak out just yet. There's Democrats that are putting forth legislation to change what's been made to try to keep it as a Title II. So it's not finalized yet. So we don't want to get too crazy just yet.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll see small businesses or even medium-sized businesses targeted. I really think it's about protecting those enormous corporations that have the most vested interest, the Googles and the Coxes and those massive ones. So yes, we will see rate increases of some way, but I definitely don't think we need to start panicking and trying to find a solution as of yet.
One of the things that I consistently see cable and internet telephony providers do is, if it's a new technology that they can't make money off of, they tend to throttle it and strangle it. P2P file sharing, right? Just, hey, I've got some files I'm sharing with you, and I'm sharing with you, and we're not going to pay whoever. And then there's no piracy going on. Almost every ISP at one point or another has clamped down on those services. So I think that, yes, net neutrality, the internet should be treated under Title II. It should be platform agnostic, because if it doesn't, it simply solidifies the existing monopoly of Google and Amazon and Microsoft that's already in place, and it will inhibit the growth of entrepreneurs and small businesses who say, hey, I've got an idea, let's try something. Oh, I can't.
Your blogs?
My blogs, I
Yeah.
follow it quite a bit.
Okay.
Something I'm in the panic camp.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit more vocal about it.
So in reality, what is your blog's website?
It's lmross.com, and from there you can find our Facebook links. It's lmross.com.
Thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is really cool information. Now I'm going to go read all your blogs.
And we're all going to be paranoid that we're all
on the
going to lose our
panic
business.
camp. We're going to make t-shirts. We'll probably have those for sale too. So
Yay.
thanks guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching tonight's episode of the HR Insider. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And we love ideas from you. So please, if you have any topics that you would like more information on or find interesting, we love for you to leave those in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching HR Insider. My name is Beth.
And I'm Alicia. Good
Good night.